Uh, what was I gonna talk about? Yeah, consumerism. I I don't get it. Like, it's just such a weirdly formulated ideology. Like, I I don't even know. Like, I don't know. I've always been the type of person where I'm like, if I need it, how can I make it? And if I can't make it, then I'll buy it. Or if it like does a service for me, I'll buy it. But if I don't need it, chances are I ain't gonna buy it. But what consumerist culture has really done to a lot of individuals is, even if you don't need it, you're conditioned to want it, which causes a production to have to be made. Like, that's why we have so many things. And it just, for me, I don't know. I'm just different. I have different experiences, different things about me that makes me want to make something rather than buy it. I don't know. I have no idea. And is consumerism necessarily bad? Like, is it? I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily bad because it provides variety, but at a certain point, a consumerist mindset causes excess to exist even when there is no demand for that excess. Like, it causes people to create for the sake of potential consumption. But isn't that everything? I think that variety within a medium is important. But where consumerism goes too far is that as a consumer, you're given this arbitrary pedestal, and that can become addicting, right? You're given this arbitrary pedestal based on what you consume. Isn't necessarily physical, though. That's the thing. Does consumerism ruin or does it strengthen? consumerism as a word, as a definition. I wish I was good at definitions. I wish I could stay on topic and not just pull from so many areas and have to have this damn keyboard over here so that I can think. But the problem with consumerism is that it oversaturates at its limit, which everything does. But the benefit of consumerism is that it gives a constraint to producers, a constraint that has to do with, well, in this oversaturated market of consumers, what is the core aspect of my product that truly differentiates it? Even if it's arbitrary, how can I convince the consumer that it's not? And that forces the designers, at least, of these products that are being produced to truly hone in on a signature that no matter how arbitrary that signature is, it's still there. That's what consumerism promotes. The exploration of a signature. But that signature can become too with the saturation of consumerism, or the saturation that consumerism causes, I should say, or it could become to by individual duty. But can it though? If you're on your journey to find your signature, do you find your signature with consumerism and producing for that type of market? Maybe, but you gotta be a really good salesman. Maybe it's actually detrimental to the culture ring of an individual signature, but just of those individual signatures that the consumers trend. It's interesting, the trend. Because consumerism and trendiness just fit together so perfectly. But because at what degree is consumerism trendiness and individual signature connected? Because it's not even about benefit anymore, because there's so many different systems that can benefit from it. There's so many different systems that can both benefit and suffer because of consumerism. And that's what makes the I guess acceptability of it becomes so muddy. Especially for me, as somebody who is very rarely a consumer. That perspective eludes me. It's understandable though, especially in a capitalist world, that private ownership. But even in a ownership free sense, consumerism constrains, yet gives variety. Depends on which subset. It constrains people like me, who maybe would be a producer in such a market. And it frees the consumer, who the whole ism is named after. But even the consumer has their tastes informed. There's always an external system. Consumerism is just a cog in whatever this society is, this modern mess. A mess indeed. But did consumerism cause this mess? Consumerism. I've said the word so many times that it's lost its meaning in my head because it's such an aspect now. I've see I wish I could talk and have what's in here like actually like go there. I wish I could do that. But is consumption the goal? Consumption as a concept. Let me dive a little deeper into what consumption as a concept even is. Because when you think about it, to live, we need to consume. We need to eat. We need to eat. We need to drink. And so at the simplest level, you must consume. Does that consumption need to be varied? Not necessarily, because you can live the rest of your life eating grass, drinking from a lake. But applying consumerism to that, the variety of meals that we have, the variety of liquids we have to choose from, it is the choice. And it is the belief that that choice is paramount. That consumer's choice is the choice. Consumerism. At the end of the day, it's the choice. Now, for the impact, consumerism drives production over production. And waste. Because what are you going to do with the other 70 odd products that weren't bought? It's only that one that was bought. But all the others lay in waste. Well, maybe until their time comes. That's the thing with consumerism. The consumer's tastes are so variable that eventually all 70 odd of those versions are going to be used. So why let them go to waste? Why be so adverse to recycling? I honestly believe that recycling is one of the most beautiful things ever. If you see something that fits, fit it. If you see something that works, work it. If that thing is recycled, that just means that its time came. Consumerism is seeming like less of the problem with that wastefulness. Consumerism seems like the solution. We have a bunch of doodads and things. That we can't make ourselves. Like even me, I prefer to make. But look, if I need it, I'll buy it. And if I want it, I'll think. And then I'll buy it. With any excess that I have, it is the surplus that builds civilization. A type of society that naturally relies on surplus. to make the average life that much easier. Consumerism. We've given ourselves the privilege to be able to consume a variety, but then we've given ourselves the problem of producing that variety. And what is all that work put into producing something? That's thrown into a mountain, a landfill somewhere. That doesn't go to mean that everything needs a purpose, but maybe that more things should require a stronger purpose. Do the consumers have sense? It's the type of consumer that participates in the consumerism. That determines if it's wasteful or not. But it's also the ingenuity of the producers. That determines if it's wasteful or not. It is not such a simple disposition that we find ourselves in. We know the variables. Now, how do we lay out the equation? Consumerism. Let me recap. Consumerism frees the consumer constrains the producer yet provides a variety of products which function the same yet are in and of themselves unique to the signature of the producer, and the consumer's perception of that producer causes that producer's product to be produced more, which further constrains all of the other producers, but when the tides shift, the qualities of one of the aforementioned constrained producers' product becomes desirable. And he produces more. The products of the previous producer's product being put to waste. In preference of the newer product. The pendulum can swing back and forth and back and forth. It's a cycle. Products are made and discarded depending on the desired changes that were made to make the previous product obsolete, and how extensive that change is, how intrinsic that change is to the product itself. Seems to dictate its level of wastefulness. If the change is minimal and yet still that previous product is being thrown out, that is the highest degree of wastefulness. But if the change is pivotal, it's not wastefulness to throw the other product out. It's evolution. Consumerism. Advertisements. They annoy me because the consumerism has gotten out of hand. So much shit that we don't need. And so much of a focus shift. From the things that we do need. Now let me finally look up the definition of consumerism. The real Merriam-Webster whatever. The protection or promotion of the interests of consumers. Now I've got a better idea as to what the fuck I'm talking about. But with that definition laid out, we need to change consumer culture. I think consumers need baseline, need standards, something that is a perspective that dictates my needs, my requirements are first within craftsmanship. Design, societal impact, value, I don't know, those sound like pretty good standards for a consumer at the ideal level. Consumerism. Consumerism. Consumerism.